My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest gifts Allah has given us is the power of unity. No matter how small we may feel as individuals, when hearts are joined, when intentions are pure, and when efforts are combined, mountains can be moved. Remember, success is not always about how strong one person is, but how strongly we can hold on to one another for the sake of goodness. When we talk about unity bringing strength, it is something we see in the simplest examples around us. Take a single stick in your hand, you can snap it without much effort, but gather 10 or 20 sticks together, and suddenly it is no longer easy to break. That is the reality of life alone. You may be fragile, but when you are connected with others, you are protected, supported, and strengthened. Allah has created us as social beings not to live in isolation but to thrive together. One person's weakness is covered by another's strength, and one person's lapse can be corrected by another's reminder. This is why true power lies not in the individual standing tall alone, but in the collective standing firm together. Think about the early generations who carried the message of Islam across the world. They were not the wealthiest, nor the most advanced in terms of material resources, yet they were united upon one purpose, the worship of Allah. That unity gave them strength, and with that strength they achieved what the world thought was impossible. Their example is proof that when hearts are united for a noble cause, the strength that emerges is far greater than the sum of its parts. Alone, you may struggle to stand against challenges, but together you can face storms without fear. In our own lives, unity is the shield that guards us from collapse. A family that is united can withstand hardships, whether financial struggles, emotional trials, or external pressures. A community that is united cannot be easily divided or manipulated, even when forces try to create divisions among them. Unity creates a fortress of strength, and that fortress is not built from bricks and stones, but from trust, compassion, and shared values. When we hold on to one another, not because of worldly gain, but for the sake of Allah, that bond becomes unbreakable. It is also important to realize that unity does not mean uniformity. People will always differ in opinions, in talents, in preferences. But unity means being able to rise above those differences, to recognize that what unites us is greater than what divides us. If you focus on every small disagreement, you will never be able to stand together. But if you focus on the greater purpose, the desire to please Allah and to serve humanity, you will see strength in diversity. Every person has a role to play, and when all those roles combine, the result is a strength no enemy can overcome. So my brothers and sisters, never underestimate the power of standing together. Alone you might feel weak, insignificant, or incapable. But when you join hands with others who share your vision, your faith, and your values, you will discover a strength that you never knew you had. Remember, the strength of unity is not only in numbers, but in hearts bound by sincerity. And when sincerity meets togetherness, there is no limit to what can be achieved. When people unite around shared goals, something remarkable happens. The weight that feels unbearable on one person's shoulders becomes light when many hands are holding it together. Alone, you may look at a task and feel that it is impossible. You may ask yourself, how will I ever manage this? But when the same goal is shared by a group, each person contributes what they can, and suddenly the impossible becomes achievable. This is the secret of shared goals. They transform overwhelming burdens into manageable duties because responsibility is divided and blessings are multiplied. Think about how a family functions. If only one person carries all the responsibilities, earning, caring, teaching, cleaning, guiding, it quickly becomes exhausting. But when each family member has a shared goal of building a happy, peaceful, God-conscious home, every individual contributes in their own way. One might provide financially, another may focus on raising the children with values, another may encourage kindness and harmony within the household. Together they are united by the same vision to create a home that is pleasing to Allah. The house becomes a place of mercy and love because the goals are shared and no one is left to carry the burden alone. In the wider community, shared goals also bring about purpose and motivation. If a community sets out to feed the poor, it may seem like a huge challenge for one individual. But when everyone contributes, some giving food, some giving money, others giving their time, the task becomes simple and the results are powerful. The poor are fed, the hearts of the givers are purified, and the community feels united. This is the barakah of sharing goals. Even the smallest contributions, when combined, create a great impact. The beauty of shared goals is that they unite people from different backgrounds. You may not agree with someone on every small issue, but when you both agree that your ultimate purpose is to please Allah, you will find yourselves standing side by side. Shared goals remove selfishness because they are not about me or you. They are about us. They are about seeking goodness for all, about striving together for something bigger than our own personal interests. When the goal is noble and collective, hearts automatically come together. But we must also understand that shared goals require sincerity. If people are united only for material benefit, that unity is temporary. The moment one person's gain is threatened, the unity collapses. However, if the goal is for Allah's pleasure, for the spread of goodness, for serving humanity sincerely, then that unity is unshakable. Even if difficulties arise, people will remain together because they are not bound by material interests but by higher values. That is why sincerity is the foundation of successful shared goals. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, let us set goals that are greater than ourselves. Let us aim for objectives that unite hearts, not divide them. When we align our efforts with noble intentions and walk together toward them, we will discover a strength, a purpose, and a peace that we could never find alone. Shared goals give life meaning, and they remind us that together, by the will of Allah, we can achieve more than we ever imagined. When we speak about forgiveness as a key to togetherness, we are speaking about something that lies at the heart of every relationship, every family, every community. Without forgiveness, no bond can last. People will make mistakes, they will say things they should not have said, they will act in ways that may hurt us, they will forget the promises they once made. If every error is held against them forever, then no relationship will survive. Forgiveness is not weakness, forgiveness is strength. It requires a big heart to look past a person's shortcomings and choose to preserve unity rather than destroy it. In life, you will always have two choices: to focus on the faults of others or to see the good within them. When you choose forgiveness, you are saying, I value this relationship more than the temporary pain caused by a mistake. Families that forgive remain together. Communities that forgive remain united. Friends that forgive remain loyal. But when forgiveness is absent, grudges pile up, and over time they poison the bond until it breaks completely. The small disagreements that could have been overlooked turn into mountains of bitterness simply because no one was willing to let go. Think about how often we ourselves fall short in the sight of Allah. Every day we commit sins, knowingly and unknowingly. Yet, Allah continues to forgive us again and again. If the Lord of the worlds, who has power over all things, forgives His servants repeatedly, who are we to withhold forgiveness from one another? When you forgive, you are following a divine example. You are humbling yourself and admitting that just as you are in need of mercy, others are also in need of mercy. Forgiveness is also the oil that keeps the wheel of togetherness moving. Imagine a machine without oil. It will soon rust, jam and break. Relationships without forgiveness are the same. They become rigid, harsh and unworkable. But when forgiveness is present, small mistakes do not stop the progress. They are smoothed over and the journey continues. Forgiveness does not mean ignoring problems. It means addressing them with wisdom, resolving them with kindness, and then letting them go without keeping them alive in the heart. Some may say, but if I forgive, people will think I am weak. The truth is the opposite. The one who forgives has the greater strength. It is easy to hold grudges, easy to respond with anger, but it takes real courage to respond with mercy. Forgiveness lifts you above the level of pettiness and places you in a position of dignity. It is not about allowing people to abuse you. It is about refusing to allow hatred and grudges to control your heart. So, my brothers and sisters, if we want to achieve togetherness, we must learn to forgive. Families, friends, communities, and nations all need it. If we cling to every fault, we will break apart. But if we forgive for the sake of Allah, our unity will be preserved, our hearts will be purified, and our togetherness will stand strong. Loneliness is one of the most dangerous traps a believer can fall into because it is in isolation that the whispers of Satan become the loudest. When a person is disconnected from others, when they choose to walk alone, they become an easy target. Shaitan approaches them with doubts, with fears, with temptations, and because there is no one around to correct them, advise them, or remind them of Allah, those whispers grow stronger until they overpower the heart. But when people are together, reminding one another, supporting one another, Shaitan finds it difficult to penetrate. Togetherness is not just about companionship, it is a shield of protection against loneliness and misguidance. Look at the way prayer has been prescribed. Yes, you can pray alone and your prayer is valid, but the reward of praying in congregation is multiplied many times over. Why? Because Allah loves to see His servants united. The masjid is not only a place of worship, it is a place of togetherness where believers strengthen each other's faith. When you stand shoulder to shoulder in prayer, you feel a bond with your brothers or sisters that cannot be experienced in isolation. That bond is what drives away loneliness and weakens the whispers of Shaitan. Even outside of worship, being together saves us from despair. A person who is going through hardship might feel like the world has abandoned them. Alone, they may sink into sadness and hopelessness. But when others come forward with kind words, sincere prayers, or even just their presence, the weight of loneliness lifts. The burden does not disappear, but it becomes lighter because someone is helping to carry it. This is why Allah encourages us to visit the sick, to comfort the grieving, to support the poor. These acts are not only for the benefit of the one suffering, but also to create togetherness that heals hearts and defeats loneliness. When people isolate themselves, they often fall into extreme thinking. They have no one to correct them, no one to balance their ideas, no one to remind them of moderation. But when people remain connected, when they seek advice, when they walk with those who remind them of Allah, they are guided back to the straight path. The Prophet said, "The wolf eats the sheep that strays from the flock." This beautiful teaching reminds us that isolation makes us vulnerable, while togetherness keeps us safe. So, my brothers and sisters, never underestimate the value of good company. Surround yourself with people who remind you of Allah, who encourage you to do good, who hold your hand when you fall, and who guide you when you are confused. And be that person for others too. Do not let anyone around you suffer in silence or drown in loneliness. Togetherness is not only about building projects or achieving goals. It is about protecting faith, lifting hearts, and ensuring that no believer ever feels abandoned. Remember, Shaitan is strongest when you are alone, but he is weakest when you are together for the sake of Allah. When people come together with sincerity, something extraordinary happens that goes beyond human effort. It is called barakah, the divine blessing that Allah places in our work. Barakah is that unseen multiplication of goodness, that hidden ease, that unexpected success that cannot be explained by numbers or calculations. Alone, you may only be able to do so much, but when you collaborate with others, Allah places blessing in the collective effort. And suddenly what seemed impossible becomes not only possible but easy. This is the secret power of working together. It opens the doors of barakah. Think of a single person trying to feed a group of hungry people. Their resources may be limited. They can only provide so much food. But imagine 10 people each bringing a small amount. One brings rice, another brings meat, another brings vegetables, and others contribute time, effort, or money. Together, a feast is prepared that no single person could have managed. And not only are the people fed, but their hearts are also warmed by the spirit of cooperation. That is barakah. It is not just about filling stomachs, it is about spreading love, kindness, and unity. In our own lives, we often underestimate the power of collaboration. A project that looks too big for us alone becomes manageable when many hands and minds contribute. In a family, when everyone works together, the home becomes peaceful and full of ease. In a community, when people unite to build a school, a masjid, or a charitable organization, the results are far greater than what any one person could achieve alone. This is because Allah places blessings in collective action done for a good cause. The intention of working together to serve others attracts His help, and when His help comes, there are no limits. But there is a condition. Collaboration that brings barakah must be based on sincerity. If people work together only for show, for fame, or for personal gain, the blessing is removed. You may see results outwardly, but they will not last, and they will not bring true peace. However, when the collaboration is for the sake of Allah with humility and pure hearts, the smallest effort produces the greatest results. This is why sometimes a small act of charity done collectively can transform lives, while large projects without sincerity achieve very little. Barakah also appears in the form of time. Have you ever noticed how when people work together sincerely, things are completed quickly and smoothly? Yet when someone insists on doing everything alone, tasks drag on and become exhausting. That is the difference between effort with barakah and effort without it. One is heavy and draining, the other is light and fruitful. So, my beloved brothers and sisters, do not underestimate the power of collaboration. Do not shy away from asking others to join you in goodness, and do not hesitate to lend your hand when someone else is working for a noble cause. Allah's help descends upon those who stand together. When hearts are united, intentions are pure, and efforts are combined, the doors of barakah open wide, and what once seemed out of reach becomes easy by the permission of Allah. Togetherness is not just a social idea, it is deeply rooted in our faith. The Messenger of Allah, I have described the believers as one body. If one part feels pain, the entire body responds with sleeplessness and fever. This powerful image shows us that our faith is not complete until we care for one another, until we feel each other's struggles, and until we live with the spirit of togetherness. Unity is not an option for the believer, it is a reflection of true faith. When we are united, we are living the reality of what it means to be part of this ummah. When believers come together, it is not just about standing side by side, it is about hearts being joined by love, mercy, and compassion. You might meet someone who has no relation to you by blood, who speaks a different language, or who comes from a different culture. Yet your heart feels connected because of the shared bond of faith. That connection is stronger than any worldly bond, because it is based on belief in Allah. This is the beauty of Islam. It teaches us that togetherness is not limited by race, wealth, or status, but is rooted in the equality of all believers before their Creator. True faith pushes us to care for one another. It does not allow us to turn a blind eye to the suffering of others. If our brothers or sisters are struggling, whether with hunger, poverty, grief, or oppression, we cannot claim to have complete faith if we remain indifferent. Our faith is tested by how much we feel the pain of others and how willing we are to act to ease that pain. This is why charity, compassion, and kindness are emphasized so strongly. They are not just acts of goodness. They are signs that our faith is alive and connected to the togetherness of the Ummah. When we live with this spirit, our togetherness becomes a source of strength and hope for the world. Nations may try to divide us, worldly desires may try to separate us, but faith reminds us that we are one body. If we allow ourselves to be divided by trivial matters, we weaken that body, and the result is that we all suffer. But if we remain united, forgiving one another, supporting one another, and working for one another, then we reflect the image of the Ummah that the Prophet wanted us to be. This togetherness also protects our individual faith. When you surround yourself with people who remember Allah, who pray, who encourage you to do good, your faith grows stronger. But when you cut yourself off from the believers, your faith weakens. and you become vulnerable. That is why faith itself calls us to be together, to remind each other of the truth, and to stand firm against falsehood side by side. So my brothers and sisters, let us remember that togetherness is not just a worldly advantage. It is a reflection of who we are as believers. When we live as one body, we do not just achieve more in this world, we also live up to the expectations of our faith. And when our faith shines in our togetherness, Allah's mercy and help descend upon us, and nothing in this world can break us.